to talk to myself, so I might as well make a little vlog here before I go back in and get my other set of glasses, which are for long range. But yeah, I just had an idea that I'm going to pursue with my friend John Verrigan in Grand Forks, and his people at the Duca Boys, and other people that I've talked to, and the groups I've talked to, student associations, AMS, SFSS, all that stuff, Canadian Federation of Students. Everybody who didn't get a fair chance to vote in the referendum, and, but find a donor or a reason to start giving people yellow jackets, not just the tent city people, but everybody that's on welfare. Everybody saying, okay, here we are. And then maybe even start doing what the French are doing and saying, here we are, make ourselves visible. This is what they've done in France. And they said, we were shut out of the system and we're hurting for it. And especially, the street people, instead of shutting them out. You can see yellow jackets in France. It's like Occupy. The yellow jackets, the Occupy people did this too. They walked up and fed the homeless. So that's the contrast between CBC and they're doing this thing on Boxing Day about giving back, That's fine, but they're not covering the Gilets jaunes. They're talking about the food banks. And the food banks are kind of like the 1,000 points of light thing that George Bush caused when he took Reaganism and made it worse and cut back on support services. And they all talked about how all the churches would take care of everybody, and the community organizations. So it would all be on the backs of the charities, and that would all be fine. Okay, but in Europe, no, it didn't work out that way. So anyway, so we've got the real contrast in the system, and also in the complete hiding in the media, even in like Young Democracy Now! And the Young Turks, that they focus on the disturbance, they focus on the violence, rather than on the message of the French Revolution. Which is an important message that all the world needs to be hearing, but the media are making a point of maybe making exactly not telling you that. Instead, they're telling you what a wonderful thing food banks are and how they have some nice young woman who's, had some violence and has a nice place and everybody takes care of her. And the food banks are the human side of the social system in Canada. I can't say anything now that I'm on disability. It's different than when I was on what we call welfare, direct support, which is a smaller amount, which is a nightmare to be on in this country, especially given rents. So, but we're not in the streets the way the French are, in support of the street people. We're still driving around doing our Christmas shopping and preparing for New Year's, you see. In France, no, they're camping out at the roundabout still. They're still making their presence known. It might go like Occupy and there's talk of a civil war. Yeah, like a Yugoslavian type civil war, in France. But I don't think so. I think the resolve of the French people, from what I see, is strong. They know that the agitation is from the hard left and the hard right is also being paid for and funded on both sides, if covertly, on both sides, alt-right and far left and all the stuff in between. But French nationalism also has other streaks in it, including like a real pride in the revolution and rule by the people, right? And that's what they want to bring back. They want to restore the principles of the original revolution, fraternity, equality, and fraternité, égalité, and liberty. But not liberty in the American sense where everybody gets to own a goddamn gun. And thankfully not everybody does. And only 3% of the U.S. has, I can't remember, 50% of the weapons, some crazy number like that, right? Or is it more than that? Of the privately held weapons, whatever the military has and whatever the underworld actually has on all its many colors. America is hard to live next to for a Canadian. The more I know what goes on this continent. But yeah, I was thinking about this as I listened to this about I want to call in. I call into CBC too much. My talkbacks are too strong. They won't put a guy like me on air. If anything, I attract interest from who, right? But that they don't put a guy like me on air because they don't want the message that I bear to be heard by other Canadians. So I left a real stinger of a CBC talkback radio message the other day about this. They had their little show on with this talk about the Clint Eastwood movie and the version of another American show of Survivor. These were important things for Canadians to be discussing, never mind on a holiday, with all the stuff going on in the world. And today, with France like on the edge of civil war, and finding even in The Guardian, there's no coverage of that. I looked, I followed, I have a news sort of thing that we'll look at almost every news site every day. Al Jazeera had only the tiniest bit, it was kind of old, but there's none of the analysis I've seen from within France. It's the same as British Columbia in 1983. None of the analysis that was in the independent media in British Columbia in 1983 can even be found today. I'm not even sure it exists in hard copy. I have to dig hard for it if I'm going to find it. This is how much history has been erased systematically. And right now, the truth about France is being kept hidden from the North American and world public systematically by the media institutions that revolution itself wants to tear apart. It's not just the banks that they want to dismantle. They want to dismantle the media. And myself, I say, well, if arts are to be tax-free, then theaters are sanctuaries of Dionysus, and therefore temples, and should also be tax-free. There's an argument to be made for all of that. You see, there's all kinds of angles on the stuff that we take as assumptions. But the idea is that the state is not paramount, the people are. We have no more kings, and we should not have presidents who presume to be kings, nor prime ministers. Much I could say about our prime minister, but I could say much about Canadian politics. It's quite of a separate issue right now, other than the fact that I'm going up the hill into a town where there's a lot of really, really poor people that aren't junkies, that are just having to live in the rain, or in the camp or in the shelter. Or, like me, trying to find housing on short notice, not so much short notice, it's my own fault for doing all that I've been doing. But I've been having to do this stuff, right? So I realize, like I'm going up the hill to get my GoPro. Speaking of which, I got to go back and get those glasses, the white ones, because they're my long-range ones. But yeah, this is something that can happen here. And I just got thinking, I thought, well, why don't I call so-and-so? And who else can I call to start getting everyone to find yellow jackets? Of the population that didn't vote, of the new peoples that didn't vote, and also, hey, of the First Nations people, listen to me. I know why you don't vote. I know, I totally get it. I'm going up the steps, okay? I totally get why you don't vote. I totally get it. Like, for you to vote is for you to endorse the Crown that doesn't even have a treaty in British Columbia. Oh, I totally get that. Believe me, I do. I totally sympathize. Right? But the way that I say that may come to resolve is that the Green Party is 100% on the side of a fair and just settlement with Native nations and a resolution of the issue of the unsurrendered territories. I have my own ideas about how to do that, but I don't matter. I have other things to do. But this is something that is something that the Yellow Jacket thing, we're a giant fire zone. We're a giant emergency zone. And these Yellow Jackets in France, what they are is everybody has to have one in their car. You see, that's why everybody has the same one, that same hue of yellow. Right? They have to have them. So they started wearing them as a sign of a national emergency. The rich were getting too rich. And everybody else was getting poorer, including the upper middle class and the middle class. The super rich are getting richer and richer, more powerful. And, I've seen one video, it might be just an agitationist, one warning of civil war by the 7th, And every Saturday there's a big to-do going on. And there are, agitators out there, but they're not the genuine gilets jaunes who are like in every small town, everywhere in France. Everywhere. And there just aren't enough military to do it. But under martial law, if Macron brings it down, then he can go after all the gilets jaunes, which is what Mr. Trudeau will do here, like his father did if he declares a War Measures Act type action in Canada for the pipeline or any other reason, such as a gilets jaunes action. What the gilets jaunes are asking for is open referendums all the time, 700,000. Voters, which is like 1% of the population, is enough to initiate a referendum. Now, I know that sounds like a backup, but you just try and get people to try and sign something frivolous, No, people are really serious in France. They're politically educated. They're politically educated because they've been through revolution after revolution and revolution, and they fought for freedom against the Nazis. You know, from within occupied France. They're amazing people, the French. And they've changed the world several times, as much as Russia or China or America, you know. They're another, this is a big thing that's happening, and they're trying to keep the rest of the world from realizing it. So anyways, it's on the edge today, but what are we hearing about? We're hearing about, well, we've got food banks and how hard it is for everybody who doesn't have money to be able to eat, and how there's all these difficulties that they have, and how hard life is today. This is Canada, peeps. We have to get used to this inevitable idea that everything has to always get more expensive, and somehow we have to go into debt to support more and more people. No, we don't. We can change the system. We can change the system from the bottom up. That's what the French people are trying to do. And what the World Bank and the media and the Security Council and everybody, the major media, including The Guardian, I'm amazed, right? Just looking the other way or rationalizing and reporting 2 weeks later once they can surmise something that's safe to say. It's very volatile, the French Revolution, and they're keeping it from the rest of the world because they don't want it to happen anywhere else than the rest of the world. It's spread to Ireland, it's spread to Portugal, it's spread to Belgium, spread to, I don't know where it is, I don't have time to keep up with the media, but they're trying to keep a lid on it, because here in British Columbia, you know, there's a lot of hungry people already, and the thing is that most people are still driving their cars and not giving a shit about anybody else. It's different in France. But it took running out of gas for them to do that. It's not just the carbon prices, it's that there was no gas. You know, and it's not just a supply problem. You know, it's the cost of it and all the rest of it, right? And then not enough money that they get, especially those on support. So, anyways, I'm up another set of flights here. So, yeah, I had to get this done before I went up the hill. And I got to put this off when I go inside and get my glasses. And go back up and make my way up the hill and get the GoPro. So this can just be uploaded. Not the next one of these is just going to come straight out of the GoPro. Upload it somewhere, maybe live. I don't know how they work yet, I'll find out. So, at the right angle. Okay, so, yeah, it's all very interesting. The attitude here in Canada of the suffering and, hey, look at our great food banks, you know, and aren't they wonderful? And thank you, food bank people, on this Boxing Day holiday. And I go up the hill to see people I know who slept in the cold last night. So, this ain't France, I know that. This is British Columbia. It's British Columbia. It's part of the cold, hard land, as one of my songs calls it. My cold, hard land. Oh, I understand. I understand where I have to make my stand. Maybe here, maybe there. Maybe everywhere. What am I saying? You see, that's the whole dangerous thing about rhyme. It can lead you places you didn't mean to go, but then once said, they commit you. They commit you. Words like those. I have rhymes when my days of pain long ago that were like that. I could recite one, but it's not the point right now. That your voice delivers messages to you and about yourself that you hadn't expected to hear. That the rhyme itself leads you to. Rhyme, meaning is built into the rhyme. And how the words fall from your mind. And sometimes the rhyme and the mind, they fuse in rhyme and time. And so become dance. And so, this giant here must go to France. Adieu, my friends. One day I'll see the farther side of the yonder sea. For the time has come. I hear the drum. I hear the sound of my destiny. I hear the world. I hear it spin. I hear of time. I hear the din. All is dust. All we must dance and sing, for aught there is anything else that we might think or do. A giant spun on rhyme and time, pained by the world, hamstrung, unrhymed, brought back now to dancing shape, singing loud and making haste. The times have come. The war, the drum, the sound of the times to come. Where are my keys? He seeks them now. It is somewhere here. I had them how? It happens off. It happens thus. I left them in the door. Nonplussed. Anyways, it's easy to rhyme for a man like me. It's part, it said, of my destiny. It was with me very long ago. I could not help it. I just let it flow. And so, all the doors and slams, and the world which tore my heart and my hams, and made me lame, and made me hurt, and brought me in fame, brought me earth, brought me down and taught me sing, and taught me that again I'll sing, I'll ring and dance, and make the mountains ring. The words are easy, the task is not. I don't know why, but I know what has been wrought. So it is my task to tell it wise, to tell the young, and those in time who do not know and did not see the world that we knew, those like me. For our age is done, is long gone now. The mountains are gone. The sea is dead. The winds they carry too many poisons named. And the public mind has brought on fame and wealth and power and glory and gold, and meaningless stories told and told, and songs sung of stupid things, and not the names of our ancient kings. For a poet fallen, 'tis worse than that, for no one rhymes, or when they can, they dance and sing and think of nothing. But of course they have nothing. 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 There is no time left. The young see this. The young see this. I know why their music is dead. It doesn't have to mean anything. Just have fun. It's all you can do in this time. For old people like me that still tell ourselves that I don't tell me myself one because I don't have anything, but our mortgages and our student loans and our careers and what's going to happen about that bridge we want to build 20, 30 years from now. Making plans like that in the face of the other physical reality of the world right now is a form of insanity. You know, I'm going to turn this around so you can see where I'm going. I'm going up that hill. Right there, that one. That's where I'm going right now. So, maybe I'll just turn this around since you can't see my face, right? I'll assume that that's on it. Yeah, so I'm thinking of the unreality here versus the reality there. But, you know, again, the reality in France is being contained even within Europe. To what degree, I don't know. I haven't really looked at the German coverage or anything. And there's only so much time in the day. As I often comment now, there's not 6 of me. I only have 1 computer. Now, having the GoPro will change my day because I won't have to be spending time uploading tracks. I can just use the GoPro. I think that's what's going to happen here. It makes the most sense. So, I got some light again now. The reality for the poor in Canada is the reality of the poor in France that has the people in the streets on their behalf. That's the truth of the difference between the Gilets jaunes, who the CBC aren't covering, talking about the actions being taken in support of the poor and the hungry in France. End of the way, the rich have gotten super rich and continue to get rich while expecting everyone else to suffer and taking even more from them. Excuse me, as we will again see here in British Columbia. Whether I am here or not, I don't know. I don't really care anymore, again. When I left in 07, kind of at that point again now. There are things I'd like to help people do here, you know, but I have some good ideas, but, you know, what can you do? Nobody can listen to you because of the way you look. You know, they don't know. Okay, well, we got the Christmas trees going by here. Not the Christmas trees, Christmas lights of the condos going by. So I'll leave that on for there while I talk. I call this hill now the mountain. It's just one block of Fraser Street from just below what would be 117th. Up to a corner store that I see is closed. That's fine. I was going to get something from him, but and these guys have nice lights. I mean, good nice lights, you know, and they're not even traditional, you know. But they do a really nice job. I really like the deer. I'll show you the deer here now. It's really like, I really like the deer. Here, have a look. Where is it? Can you see it? What am I doing there? Oh, there we go. I really like the deer. Oh, that's just ahead of it. So I've got to get higher. And, oh, above the gate. That's why. You're only seeing the part of it. That's a pretty nice deer. I'm impressed. I'd want one in my yard. I'm thinking, you know, that's beautiful, this thing. Have you seen this thing? Take a good look at the deer. It's beautiful. Anyways, that's a beautiful. I've never seen that before. That's the new kind of technology Christmas light. Anyway, so the world has changed so much. Hasn't it, eh? For us people my age. You see, that's my whole point of why I make these vlogs. Because what is written will be forgotten or deleted or just not understood by people whose language has changed from ours. But even my speech will be foreign, you know, or, you know, I'll have to explain certain things I say, expressions I use, you know, ways I say things, you know. And being Canadian, we're of a different breed than Americans or Aussies or Brits or, you know, the different kinds of, you know, Brits. And in my case, I've realized I'm, you know, fully half Norwegian. And yeah, my French side is important to me, even though my great-grandfather's influence is extremely remote. Although I think my grandfather spoke French. My mom's dad. They had an accent, I think, but they were from Toronto when Mom was born there anyway, so he'd maybe come from Quebec, but the family's place was near the New York border at Stanbridge East. So, anyways, there's another nice yard. I'm almost at the top. Take a little break up there. And I guess head for the source, which is where the GoPro is. So, good evening. How are you? Merry Christmas, or actually Happy Boxing Day. Happy Boxing Day. I'm just going to take a quick thing of your lights in your yard. Do you see the deer down the hill? No. Go have a look at the deer in the front yard down there. It's amazing. The deer, it's all like light, right?
Oh, like a light up.
Like a lit up, like a really nice sculptural glass kind of deer. Go to the whole, like three, go down. So not too far down here.
Oh, take a look, yeah.
In the yard, in the front yard. It's amazing. Yeah. Merry Christmas. I know, it's an interesting assembly of people who live on the hill here. The hill, it is a hill. It's just a hill. But I call it the mountain now because of the work it is for me to get up it. But, you know, It's been a workout for me. It amazed the occupational therapist that I had to do this all the time. And that whether it amazes him perturbs me that I've had to do it all the time, that I didn't get earlier help. Just like I didn't get physiotherapy at first after. I had to ask for it and then found out they hadn't put me on the list because my surgery had happened so suddenly. So it's not quite as bad as what happened with my thing when I was 30, with pedicab. Similar though. You know, I mean, we do have a universal healthcare system, but it has problems like that, you know. That not seeing this person I'm going to support to make sure that they're okay when they get injured, you know. So. And store is closed. And now that I've realized they're going to the source, I will walk all the way to the mall rather than wait for the bus. While there was that risk losing my cane again, that was funny. I left my cane on the stop up ahead here the other night. Up ahead there, that intersection. And that's a vape store. This is, yeah, Haney. South Haney. South Haney. Just means south of the highway, really. Haney is north of the highway. And Haney is a name that younger people don't even know, even when they're from here. It's just Maple Ridge to them, you know. The old identity. I guess I'll talk about a little about the Fraser Valley towns, I guess. So I'll end that part, bang, and this is now an edit. Boom, okay, start the other thing now. So I'm the UnProfessor. Skookum 1, I'll still use that for a while, but the UnProfessor Mike Clevin, also a musician by that, and Mike, well, never mind, I'll link it in my music and elsewhere. I'm walking through the parking lot of somewhere behind somewhere in downtown Haney, which is part of Maple Ridge, a city now, which was a district. I'm familiar with it. I went to school in the municipality east of it, Mission. And we lived near the boundary. Well, Haney was part of my life, you know. Even the far end of Ruskin at the bottom end of our street, which we called it Haney Ruskin. The whole place was Haney. But that has other associations, which I won't get into. But also that the name is largely forgotten and not used in marketing at all. So, and I won't get into the renaming of places of new names, although Silver Valley, given Silver Valley's odd because there is no Silver Creek in the area. The Silver Creek in the area is in Mission. And the Silver Valley would be from, you know, Doonie Trunk Road through Clay Road area and down, you know, in Silverdale Flats. Anyways, that's a whole nother story, but it's kind of the same story because what's being obliterated is the old valley. The old valley as it was, all the little communities that we were. Ruskin, and even at the dam we had our own little community hall. There's Stave Gardens Hall, which was way up top, and Stave Falls actually was the powerhouse properly, a powerhouse town properly, which also still had a hall, which is where my dad's retirement party was, in fact. But, you know, and that had been a fairly large town all during the 20s, during the building of it, and also during the building of Ruskin. And the railway busy. And Ruskin was a busy station, though that was also, the mills were busy. You know, we were on the cut. BC was being cut, and it got cut worse in the modern era because of more industrialization. You know, more advanced clear cutting methods. You know, like we were strip grind. We're for what they call fiber. Pains me every time I look at a piece of toilet paper or a piece of kitchen paper or a wrapper I'm throwing away. I wonder, you know, which tree it was, which trees it was, where that came from. You have to if you have a heart, you know, and you've seen the places I've seen. You know, those houses that burned up in California, Paradise, Malibu, right? I got a little shadow of the selfie thing on me because of the spotlight off the roof of the Dairy Queen. Yeah, but all those houses in Malibu and Lodi and Thousand Oaks and Paradise, a lot of those were built with British Columbia lumber and shakes on the roofs and stuff like that. You know, all of California's newspapers and stuff like that had been supplied by British Columbia pulp and paper for 100 years. Los Angeles Times, San Francisco Chronicle, the Examiner, all the other papers in California. The newsprint that runs the American media machine came from the forests of Canada. This is the truth of the matter. Now, guys got jobs, you know, we paid taxes for years, and those taxes were used to build the infrastructure to keep helping industry continue to extract resources and use labor without putting anything back into the development of a long-term economy. Once they cashed in their part of the economy and they were done with it, as with BC, with the fall down in the forest industry, although it's still operating, life support the same way oil will be kept, unless we change things. The only way we can change things is by going yellow jacket, but let me get back to what I was saying. I'm at the low heat highway now, so I have to wait for sound sometimes probably. Yeah, but so you have a situation where the timber's gone. Now the idiot Prime Minister of New Brunswick, who only has 30% mandate, but he happens to have like a key little segment of the population, or the vote rather, with 6 seats or 3 seats? 3 seats? 6 seats. From the People's Alliance, supporting him the same way the Greens support the NDP here, although I don't know the terms of the deal, I think are different. But he's saying, okay, so this is a province that he's in, which has relied on equalization payments for decades. The population of the city of Vancouver and the district of North Vancouver combined only, in an area about the size of the Okanagan and the Kootenays combined, maybe. And very mixed Indian and French also, Native and French, all over. Not as French as it was. It was 50% when I was young, it's about 35% now. Why that is, I don't know. Immigration, probably. To Quebec, I don't know. I don't know what the reasons are for that. Certainly not a lower birth rate, I don't think. Not in Nova Scotia, from what I've seen in Clare. Or did I? No, I didn't see a lot of little kids in Clare, did I? No. But then I wasn't around houses that might have had them, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, it's kind of a place I wish I'd maybe stuck around and maybe gone back to after Mom died. You know, I realize that now. I know. Yeah, maybe. That would have been a good idea that summer. I would have been fine there. People would have told me. So, anyways, I'm passing the bank I don't need to go to tonight. I'm going to go through this little mall. This is my landscape. This is my scenery every day. This isn't my mountains. This isn't the beautiful canyons and forests and moose and, you know, and squirrels of Canada. This pictures you see of the beautiful ice caps, beautiful ice fields. And, no, that's all miles from here. This is what most Canadians see in their daily life, this kind of thing. Most of them in a nice car. Most of them with money, but lots of us not. But, you know, unlike in France, you know, while France, they're still not saying that there's the Gilets jaunes are able to help everybody, but the whole point is that they're upset that anybody should not have enough money in their pocket to live decently. To live decently and not be seen as different from everybody else. So that is the point. I'll end this when I get to the door. That is the point of everybody wearing yellow jackets. If I can get that started. For the people who should be the ones in support of universal referendums, you know, pacifist change of the system of government, a revision of the system of government. In Canada, that means a reconsideration of what Confederation is. Dicey item, I know, but so is overthrowing the Fifth Republic. So the problem is here, our media is a lockdown by the conservative media monopoly, and that includes the CBC now. We've been out-snookered. The conservatives got control of the media, and then they got control, they were already in control of the banks. Canada has been under lockdown for decades, and people are blind to it. They're submissive. They said, oh well, we'll just have to suffer and help the poor as best we can. And let's give lots of coverage to Native and women's issues, and that'll make us feel better here at the CBC. So this is my beautiful Maple Ridge that I live in. on my way to buy a digital aid for my vlogging. And commit, Mike, don't look back. It's $239 plus tax. I should probably get the warranty. I never know, especially the way I damage fucking shit. So I'm just getting out of the way of traffic here. So I guess I better end right here and calm down a bit. So it is. No, I spun in rhyme earlier. I'm not too tired to do it now, I think. What my muse is on, you know. I know it's here for a reason. I know I've been revived and shaken back to life, and now I realize my strength again, and how I'll be in 6 months will probably be pretty good, you know. And next time I'll make sure I'm in good shape. If we ever have to do that, right hip doesn't hurt that much too yet. So, but it's rotten too. Apparently as bad as the one on the left. It sure didn't hurt. It didn't hurt like the one on the left did, though. So, anyways, I guess I'm done. I've had my fun. I've had my run of things I've sung. I could stand and spin all kinds of sin and tell you tales. I could. And if I would, then what? Then what would I say? Tell you more about yet more of another day? No, there is yet much to do. More yet to go. Things yet to say. Things yet to bestow. And be bestowed. And given and experienced and learned. And far traveled. Far saged. And maybe once again heard, I don't know. A poet's life, it can be hard. You live your life, you wear your heart. Too easy it is to rhyme, when so many words rhyme with time. And to have a kind mind. It's hard to live in time.